Hey, everyone. I'm Becca, he's Matt, and this is Becca's Book Club Adventure.
Hello.
And
Yeah.
I finally took one of your book recommendations, and I finally read it.
Okay. Which one?
I read A Spindle Splintered by Alix E. Harrow.
All right. That's so cool. I mean, I know I recommended like 18 books in the last time we talked.
Some of them very thick.
This one, not so thick.
Not so thick. It was exactly up my alley.
Well, interesting. So I also read another book by Alix E. Harrow. We could just have an Alix E. Harrow episode.
Love it.
Let me ask you this. Where do you want to start? Do you want to talk about the book you read, or like go like all into that, or do you want to start with the whole spoiler-free teaser crap?
Let's tease first, and then those that want to actually get the teaser for this book can go back a few episodes.
Okay. So I read Starling House by Alix E. Harrow. Book came out in, I think it was 2023. I think it's 350 pages. The library only had a large print edition, so I can't look in here and tell you how long it is. It is like 600 pages or something. I think this might actually be the best book I have read in at least 2 years.
Ooh.
Okay, so I cannot put a genre to this book. Cannot. Like when we would read, you read like something like Crescent City. Crescent City is a good example. There's a lot of different like genre elements in there, right? You get some politics. There's like a murder mystery. It's a romance. There's a little bit of horror in there. Like if you really think about Crescent City and you want to visualize it and put it into like a movie, that's some pretty scary stuff. But at the end of the day, you think about Crescent City and that's just like a fantasy book. It's fantasy with some supporting stuff. This book, I can't put a genre to it. It's definitely got some fantasy elements in it, but then there's a whole bunch of sci-fi stuff. It's very like gothic horror. There's very much like fairy tale type elements in there. There's like a political intrigue, kind of like CIA puppet master feel. And of course, there's a romance story.
Well, duh.
And I can't, in true Alix E. Harrow fashion, she has a whole bunch of different nods to stories. Like now that you've read A Spindle Splintered, I think you understand what I'm saying. So like this one is very Beauty and the Beast, but it's very Sleepy Hollow. It's very Constantine. It's Wuthering Heights, Pride and Prejudice. But then you go back and you get in like Labyrinth. And there's a lot of references to various like ancient Greek, ancient Egyptian myths. There's very like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, like haunted house type things going on in this. It's very cool. It's very Grimm Brothers meets Stephen King meets. It's so original. It's so cool. It's so cool. It's about a girl named Opal. Just Opal. And Opal lives in Eden, Kentucky, where a lot of folks seem to have like really bad luck and a lot of strange things seem to happen to people. It's a very typical like Rust Belt redneck-ish type town insofar as it's dominated by coal and the mining stuff feeding the power plant. That's like the number one thing of employment. And so from the outside, everyone looks really down on their luck, especially Opal, right? Opal is 28, so I appreciate that we get a main
Not a
female
19-year-old?
character who's not 14 or 19. And she's poor. She's homeless. She's living in a motel for reasons with her high school aged brother named Jasper, who she is taking care of and has been raising ever since their mom died in a freak car accident years ago. She works a dead-end job at Tractor Supply Co. And she's a high school dropout who learned to teach herself how to lie and steal anything and everything, forge documents, etc., just to like get by. On her way home from her dead-end job, she always passes by the gates of Starling House, which is an old estate house owned by generations of the Starling family, who, by the way, never seem to be related to one another. They just sort of show up when the previous Starlings die. Very, very curious,
Okay.
right? And the house is very ominous. It's very gothic, old, rickety, foreboding. Think of the castle from Beauty and the Beast before,
Mm.
at the very beginning. It is the source of stories and superstitions for the entire town. But Opal is very drawn to it for whatever reason. When she was a little girl, her mother gave her a book written by E. Starling, and Opal became obsessed with it. It's called Underland, and it was very gothic, very scary, not suitable for children, got banned in many states. And she became obsessed with it. To make matters even worse, Opal like dreams of the Starling House, and it dominates her thoughts until one day she decides to march over to the house and investigate. But guess what? The gates will not open. And so she's shaking her, and her hand slips on the metal and cuts. She bleeds all over the gates, and the gates creak open.
Ruh-roh. Ruh-roh,
She
Raggy.
she goes up the driveway, knocks on the door, and Arthur Starling answers the door. He's only a couple years older than her. He's a little bit Mr. Darcy. He's a little bit Ichabod Crane. He's a little bit Constantine. And because she's so annoying, he ends up offering her a job as housekeeper. She demands a ridiculous amount of money because Jasper's like private school tuition needs to be paid. And he says, okay, we have no idea how much money this is, but like that she's got like 6 months to pay a year of tuition. So you'd have to imagine that that's like a lot of money. Anyway, so she accepts and she goes to work for this dude. His only like conditions are that she has to arrive after sunrise and she must leave before sunset because obviously. And she very quickly learns that Arthur refers to himself as the warden of Starling House and carries a very funny sword. And Starling House itself seems to be a little bit alive. And to top it all off, after she gets this job, very posh people, like suits, are very interested in her now and want to know what she knows. And she finds herself up to her neck in intrigue while also constantly thinking about Arthur, who has become her reason to continue going to the scary Starling House every day. And as Eden begins drowning in its own ghosts, Opal has to choose a side and fight on it.
Yes. Yes.
My rating, and I'm going to quote from my notes. My rating, yes, yes, yes. There's no numbers, just yes.
But yes, I put that on my list already. After I finished the first one, I was like, okay, what other books can I read from her?
I am very constantly impressed. Oh, I will say, um, when you read some authors
Yeah.
and they're obviously writing in different worlds, like, okay, Sarah J. Maas is a good example between ACOTAR, Throne of Glass, and Crescent City, right? It all reads very similar,
Yes.
meaning the voice,
Yes.
the internal monologues are all very similar. I will say this book, very different from a Spindle Splintered and a Mirror Mended.
Okay.
Obviously, it's the same author, so there's going to be the same kind of allusions. There's going to
Sure.
be the same sentence structure that's like kind of dense with content and information, but the city, the people, the it all feels very different. It feels like a different setting. Not not because it's literally a different city, but like the entire vibe is different, and I think that that's really really cool. Like Crescent City and Throne of Glass, obviously they're different worlds, but it feels like they're different worlds more so because of how the worlds are described, like what the
The
buildings
time.
are, kind of medieval versus modern city, not because the person describing them is different, if that makes any sort of sense.
It does.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm guessing like no real questions or anything.
Oh, I just need to read it, obviously.
All right. So to close it out, Starling House, Alix E. Harrow. Yes, read it. And I'm glad it's already on your TBR. That's so cool.
So I have some fun news.
Okay.
One of my friends listened to our podcast. I know. Fully, all the way through. Had not read the book, but really enjoyed reading it. And she had texted me and she's like, this is the perfect work podcast because I guess our banter back and forth and whatnot. She's like, I had an easy time following it, but I was also still able to do my job and complete the task that I needed to do, but it was better than listening to my coworkers.
Nice.
So there's a rave review for you. Can
All
listen to
right.
while at work.
Thank you, Kim. I wish other people felt the same. Um, and if anybody's wondering why I've kind of gone down an Alix E. Harrow rabbit hole, uh, we are going to Crozet, Virginia at the end of October. There's a book fest there, and Alix E. Harrow is going to be like one of the two headlining guests. And I wanted to read a bunch of her stuff before going because, yeah. Um, she will also, so I live in Columbus, Ohio area. She'll also be at the Columbus Metropolitan Library on Monday, November 3rd.
Oh,
And you can bet your butt I found out about that today. And you can bet your butt I signed up and reserved myself a spot.
yay. That's awesome.
I want to hear what you think about a Spindle Splintered because if anybody wants to go listen to my raving rant about that, I think it was episode 36 or something. You can find that, or if you're watching on YouTube, I'll link a card here or whatever. Um, but I loved it, loved it, loved it. And I want to know what Becca thinks.
Yes. So you had recommended it, and at the time, I was just going through a lot and had a lot on my plate. And I was like, I need a short simple book to read. And by simple, I mean easy to digest, not simple in story, theme, or writing style. But easy to digest is this book. A Spindle Splintered was 110 pages, so it only took me a couple of nights to get through it. Easy to read in one sitting if you wanted, absolutely. But I savored it over a couple of nights, which was well worth it. Um, so much adoration. So you had s- um, pitched it to me, and as I was reading the first chapter, I was like, "Yep, Matt mentioned that, and that, and that, and that," and then 7 pages, I think, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, literally all of this." He had given me so much, and he had said on the podcast it was only the first chapter. And you were right. And she shoved so much information into that first chapter.
I know. I felt like I ranted about it, and you're like 110 pages. Did you just give me like half the book?
Right?
Nope. It's like here's the first 5 pages. We're off.
So absolutely lovely and fascinating. And um you mentioned all the different books that the other book kind of correlated with, you saw themes from. I'm not nearly as well read as you, but this book, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the dark, like this background theme of it is the DuPont scandal, Dark Waters kind of saga. And I
Yes.
just loved that so deeply.
Yes. I actually think a lot of that is some inspiration in here as well. Um not as directly as in what you read, but like the coal has like polluted the air and like you get a rash if you go in the creek kind of a thing. Yeah. But like a difference between these two books. So in a Spindle Splintered, when Zinnia is like just throwing out allusions to like movies and books and out the walls, it's always sarcasm. It's
Yes.
always funny. And everything that I mentioned in Starling House is more like inspiration for story structure and character types. And it's not the sarcastic. I mean, there is some of that, obviously, but okay. So I know you mentioned Spindle Splintered was easy to read, and a takeaway that I have, and I know this because I said it to you, and I put it in a written review, and I said it to Elizabeth. It's so dense that you have to think about what you're reading to like get it, but you don't really realize that you're doing that. It feels light and easy, and I want it. Yeah, so you felt that same way?
Yeah, because like,
Yeah.
by the time I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is Dark Waters," I literally just watched that movie and have been recommending it to people. I was like, "Oh, I should have gotten that, the first time she mentioned it." Well, I got it. I got it.
um, I want to know what you thought of the concept of Prince Charming in this story. And I can lead you more if you need me to.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, okay. So, Zinnia's best friend, his name is like Charlemagne or something like that, but they call her Charm for short. And then when Zinnia goes into the other dimension where Prim is, and Prim is that dimension's version of Sleeping Beauty. She is getting married to, or she's supposed to be getting married to this idiot dullard dude that's gonna like be a horrible husband and abuser and all of this shit. And he is supposed to be like Prince Charming. But then Zinnia shows up and tries to act like her Prince Charming to save her from her Prince Charming. But then she and Prim need to be saved. And Charm shows up and is Prince Charming. But then Prim is also Zinnia's Prince Charming when Prim gives her the one kiss.
The triangle of Prince Charming is what you're
There's like
referring
8
to.
of them. It's just so ridiculous.
I thought you were referring to the actual Prince Charming, and I was like, the descriptions are perfect, right? Because he is like your perfect beach blonde boy with the cleft chin and the strong jaw and the big muscles. And Prim is like, no, never, no.
I love the fact that Prim is like perfection beyond perfection,
Mhm.
supposedly with how beautiful she is. And this Prince Charming guy she's supposed to be engaged to or whatever is just so blah.
It's fascinating, right? They're riding out to the woods to defeat the curse, right? They have to defeat the curse, and they get there, they find the witch, and the witch is like, oh, I didn't curse you. I gave you a blessing.
Yes.
A blessing. And
And
everyone's
why did
like,
she give them a blessing?
what?
Because she was the original Sleeping Beauty
Yes.
and there was nobody to save her. So she's going to try to save everybody else.
Yeah. The layers to this. I didn't realize how many versions of Sleeping Beauty existed in the world as she was making references to all sorts of different Sleeping Beauties.
I didn't either. And I think that was one of the things that so impressed me. Um,
The
the
original
academia
story,
behind it.
yeah, the original story is morbid as all get out.
But yeah, they all are. And isn't that real? I love what Zinnia has a thing where she's talking, it's like a kind of almost a little bit of a throwaway thing, but she's talking about how happily ever after wasn't actually happily ever after. And originally these stories ended happily in the after, which was like
Mm.
a way to say people were only happy when they died.
Yeah.
And that wasn't very palatable. So we modern people changed it.
Which is really interesting to think about. Like, well, yeah, nothing is happily ever after. You get to one resting spot of happiness, and then something changes, and then you get to research for happiness.
Yeah. 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 Um, I'm trying to think of the other thing. Oh, I really, really like how Alix E. Harrow treats LGBTQ plus stuff. Um, I feel like in a lot of books, it's too obvious. And I think that's why some people can get annoyed with it or they can feel as though they're being bashed over the head. It's not that they disagree with the concept. I think they get annoyed with how it's written and presented to them. Well, fingers crossed. I'm sure there's a lot of bigoted jerks out there, but I feel like with Alix E. Harrow, the way she wrote, okay, so spoilers, Prim and Charm fall in love with each other
Instantaneously.
instantaneously. And you're never really sure if Zinnia is a lesbian or not.
Questioning at the very least.
Mm-hmm. But okay, so we say all of that to say those characters would have been 100% amazing acceptable if there was or was not any LGBTQ plus relationships or vibes or thoughts at all. That what I love how Alix E. Harrow does it because it's real. It's real life. People are people who happen to love somebody. And I know this is such a ridiculous thing to even be saying out loud. But like the fact that characters are not written that way, I think is more abundant than how like Prim, Zinnia, and Charm were written as just normal people with this thing. And I really loved that. I don't know why I really loved that. I just did. I think almost it was more of an appreciation of writing style and storytelling ability than any sort of actual commentary on what it means to be gay. So, Spindle Splintered. Obviously, there's a follow-up book. Did you start that one?
I did. So I'm
Okay.
3 chapters in.
And
Okay. So we didn't go much over the plot line of the first book, but the book ends well enough, and a few years into the future, we start again with book 2, which I deeply appreciated the connectivity of the 2 books, and then there was a break in the timeline. It wasn't like like, the first book finished in it of itself. You could be done, it was complete, you did not need to keep going, but you wanted to because you're interested. So I didn't think that this book was going to be connected. So Zinnia is still our main character, which was
Mhm.
almost a surprise to me. For some reason, I thought we wouldn't be keeping up with Zinnia. And she has this new profound skill, and she explores it for a little bit in the first chapter, so you can get an idea of how she's been biding her time the past couple of years. And then she gets pulled into Snow White by meeting the unknown villain. And I did not fully appreciate this when it's pointed out. Um, the the stepmom, the queen is not named in a lot of books. It is just stepmom, the queen. And so that's where my knowledge of the book has ended so far. Zinnia was captured. The queen is asked for help. Where are we going?
okay, so what is Zinnia doing exactly right now?
Zinnia, I think, was chained up last,
Okay. All
in
right.
the
So she's
original
being
request.
held in a tower by we'll just call her Wicked Queen,
Hmm.
whatever. Um, okay. So you're waiting for Zinnia to escape or the queen to come back or something to happen. Okay.
Well, the queen is there. The queen has made the request for help.
Okay. Okay. What do you think's going to happen then?
So
Both immediately and big picture.
immediately, I think Zinnia is still focused on escaping because Zinnia is like, I know you're the wicked person, and I have no desire to help you. This is not your narrative. But from the interconnectivity of the last one of the different stories, I wonder if we're finally going to get the Wicked Queen's perspective and realize that she's not the villain. And then maybe she was dumped in this story that she doesn't want to be in either.
I think those are good instincts.
Duxie would like to say hi. Never mind. Yes?
No.
Come on. Nope. Nope.
He could smell me through the computer and be like, "Oh,
So I'm excited to see where the next 70 pages take us.
yeah, this book I really liked it. I think how I teased it to you is that the string theory becomes spaghetti theory. Uh which I'm sure you've already seen a little bit of insofar as how she fell into a Snow White world instead. I think it's really funny. She thinks she fell into a Sleeping Beauty world, and so it's just like really funny when she's going back and forth with this evil stepmother queen entity until she's like, "Oh, wait, where am I?"
I also love that she's like, I have a folklore degree. Why did I not pick up on this sooner?
she's so funny. I love her. I love it. I love the writing so much. It's so smart.
Also, I would like a folklore degree. Can I go back to school?
I really enjoy the philosophy degree that I earned. but I'm kind of with you. I kind of wish I could have gone to school for 4 years and just read like stories instead of logic books.
Next degree.
So, okay, how long do you think it's going to take you to finish a Mirror Mended now that you started it?
I should be done this weekend.
Right on. And then let's see here. We are in the like exact center of September, and you and I probably aren't going to start a buddy read until like end of the first week of October when
Yeah.
I get back from Maine. So, what do you think you're going to read for the second half of September?
So I tried to read The Dryad Storm. Um, and tried is maybe not the right word. As I mentioned, life was chaotic, so I did attempt to read it, and then realized a chapter and a half in, I forgot most of the characters, and I probably need to listen to this one. Ooh, and then one of the other things I realized, we are gonna go see Six in December, so I should probably read some historical fiction on Henry the Six Wives,
There you go. That'd be a really good palate cleanser.
right? Ooh, the other one is, I'd read the Jacide Heir, and the Jacide Crown just came out. And then I'm trying to decide if I start Shadow and the Ember. Have you read To Ash and Blood or From Ash and
Mm-mm,
Blood yet?
not yet.
That's the companion series. I think they can be read interdependent of each other. So that could be our next
Okay.
bud read.
Okay.
That's what I got going on.
I'll show you what I'm reading right now.
It's gonna be a stack of really thick books.
Yes, I have a stack of books, but I'm only reading one of them right now. 10,000 Doors of January by Alix E. Harrow.
It's also on my hold list.
um, and the library just told me that my hold for The Entanglement of Rival Wizards by Sarah Rosh just came in, and she is the other headliner of the Crozet book fair thing. It's supposed to be like, so you go to wizard school, teenagers go to wizard school or whatever, and these two wizards, these two boys, are supposedly from like rival families, but they, you know, fall in love. So I was like, I'll read it. So I'm gonna try to read that one before I go to Maine as well.
What are you gonna read in Maine?
Nothing. I'm driving the entire time. So I might take a Kathy Reichs like Temperance Brennan book with me to like read when I'm trying to fall asleep places, but it's going to be 3 days of driving to Maine. We're going to stop at Niagara Falls on the way. We're going to spend a day at the wineries on the Finger Lakes.
Finger
Then we're
Lakes.
going to be staying with friends in Maine. We're going to be going to Acadia National Park for a couple of days, and then there's going to be 3 days of driving home. The first night we're going to be in Burlington, Vermont, when we're going to take like a sunset cruise on Lake Champlain, and then we're going to be making it over to Lakewood, New York, which nobody knows anything about Lakewood unless you like. Uh, it's a brewery. Stay with me. They make pumpkin.
Do I need
Everybody
to
knows
start
pumpkin.
Googling?
Hmm?
Do I need to start Googling?
Southern Tier. It is where the headquarters of Southern Tier is. And they have like a huge tap room with outdoor fire pits and a restaurant and stuff like that. Very much like Brewdog here in Ohio. And then from there, we're going to be stopping in Amish country and hitting up a winery in the hills of Amish country in Ohio on our way home. So long way of saying I'm driving about 1,900 miles round trip over 10 days, and I'm not going to probably be reading anything.
Do you audiobook it or is it music?
It's going to be music. I'm going to be bringing Dave Matthews Band and Goose. I'm sure your sister will slip in some Taylor Swift or something into my car, but
There you go.
yeah, we will cycle through like 3 and 4 hour long concerts.
That'll be fun. That'll be a good
Yeah,
trip.
it'll be a good trip. But maybe we should put a bookmark in it for now.
I think so.
Okay. Um, we were talking about some personal stuff and books in previous episodes, and I think what we're going to try to do tonight is we're going to try to split personal stuff separate from book episodes so that we have like somewhat shorter episodes. So I guess we'll see you in the next one.